Well, no sense beating around the bush, I guess. I have officially played a fuck ton of Fates now, but since I'm still bogged down in final papers / exams hell, and also feeling just really bad for Europe, I thought I'd just start with some appetizers before eventually going to the main entree. Will stuff like this continue? It depends on my schedule, but until then, let's start with... As far as I know, Fire Emblem players have been wishing for playable soldiers since the inception of the class, yet we had to wait all the way until the Tellius games to get some recruitable options. However, their execution was lacking in my humble opinion. Of the 4 different soldiers we got, none of them really stood out much in stats, ability, or opportunity. Wrath is always nice, but Nephany was really mediocre in Path and just okay in Radiant Dawn. Same deal of mediocrity for Devdan, but Danved in Radiant Dawn is a straight up bad unit. Aaron's sole purpose in Radiant Dawn is to keep the Fail Brigade alive in parts 1 and 3 with his massive bulk. Then he's history. Basically, all the different soldiers looked nice, but there was little done to separate them meaningfully from Knights and Cavaliers. Until Fates brought the soldier back in spirit as the Spear Fighter, which is awesome. They finally have a worthwhile niche due to their amazing base skill Seal Defense, have a surprisingly high utility value in the swap skill, and one of their promoted options, Spearmaster, gets sole access to S-rank lances. I never ended up getting Shiro in my Birthright run because Fate's children are dumb, but Oboro? Damn, she's amazing. Carried my team and got number 4 most kills by the end. Best girl in Fates. Fight me. Okay, so this is maybe more of a personal gripe than anything really substantive, but it's my list, so I'm putting it on here. Fates reintroduces max weapon ranks linked to classes that haven't been seen since Radiant Dawn, but I feel like instead of getting greater autonomy to the different classes, it just locks several out of a player's mindset in a typical game. Take Basuras for example. They're a new class that use spears and magic, and they promote from both spear fighters and diviners. Those are just renamed mages for those that haven't played. I have wanted to try out as many different classes as I could, so in my Birthright run I decided to promote one of my mages, Orochi, to a Basara, only to find out that it was basically a complete waste. She had nowhere near any strength to use spears effectively, which didn't bother me at first, until I found out that the class locks magic to B rank, meaning she couldn't even effectively use the one weapon type she had stats for. Any class with at least 2 weapon types except for Paladins automatically has one of them locked at B rank, and coupled with the relatively slow progression of weapon ranks due to the still absent fatal hit weapon experience bonus, promoting anyone to a class where their primary weapon type is hampered by a B rank just hurts them in the long run. I feel like B rank should be restricted to just unpromoted classes and classes with 3 weapon types. Keep S ranks to 1 class each, yes, but this effort to encourage class competitiveness is just too restrictive. I hope these limits relax a little in the sequel.
They look very Asian. They're oh, what? That guy really freaking hurt. You see that? What is this? What is this?
Did you have a skill?
Oh my fuck. What?
Okay, that was a bad idea. What?
Okay, we're gonna check that out. That was brutal.
What a perfect usage of music to notify doom and despair. Almost makes resetting worth it. This one was hard for me because I almost put Fate's utility staffs on the other side of this list, but in the end I felt that their reintroduction was handled more poorly than their inherent value. First off, Sleep, Warp, and Berserk are still absent. Why? Were they too powerful? Silence got nerfed to only lasting 1 turn, even though it still has to hit the target, which really kills a lot of its potential for me. But if Silence got brought back with a nerf, why not the rest? As for Warp, I can kinda see leaving that out, but why not just restrict it to just like a reverse rescue staff, only bringing the target next to another ally? And to top it all off, staffs have very limited usage, which feels really awkward next to regular weapons having infinite durability. The new offerings in the Freeze, Hexing Rod, and Trap and Enfeeble staffs are really nice, even if they seemingly exist mostly to make enemy staff users give me PTSD flashbacks to the worst parts of Thracia 776, so I'll keep this further from the bottom. Fates may have the most use for utility staff since Thracia, but it's still not at the level I think it should occupy. Okay, so before I go into this, I need to get something off my chest. I played a lot of RuneScape when I was a kid, and I don't think I will ever get used to magic beating bows on the weapon triangle, which, now that I think about it, is even stranger because a lot of bow users you get actually have high resistance as a trait. Oh, whatever. But yeah, the revised weapon triangle is a bit clunky at first, but it does a lot of good for making everything feel really interconnected. Sure, I miss my magic triangle, and trust me, we'll get to that later, but adding that, bows, and the finally returning knives back into the equation really opens up more possibilities, especially with the returning Reaver weapons and some new unique offerings to mix up the advantage. And as for the new infinite weapon durability, this may piss some people off, but I really hope it stays in Fire Emblem from now on. Sure, I was a bit worried at first, but IS really did balance the system, simultaneously keeping the bronze to silver progression while also making sure no part of the formula really stood out as broken. Even better is that the system really allows you to experiment and strategize with every possible element, such as those aforementioned Reaver weapons, the new effective damage weapons, the different ranged options, and the multitude of character-based and joke-based weaponry. I do have one complaint that is holding this back from being higher that I just mentioned previously. I feel like staff should have been given the same treatment. Now, having infinite heals and silences and freezes would probably break the game for sure, but why not just give them this finite uses but have them recharge between chapters? I feel like that system would be a lot better and fairer to staff users. With all the intriguing new classes offered up by Fates like Ninja and the Kinchi Knights, I knew a couple were bound to be disappointments. I already complained about Bassaray, but I'm also miffed that Dreadfighter has lost their magic proficiency, and that we still don't have a flying class that uses swords. And then there are classes like the Oni Fighter, Apothecary, and Merchant which just scream, why? But one class actually truly angered me, the Mechanist. On paper, it sounds really cool, essentially a mounted bow and jerkin user with a really cool looking appearance, and a description which states that they create puppets. I was amazed! Was this finally the spiritual return of Sacred Stone's Summoner class? Nope, it's all just for show. Mechanists just get a skill at fracking level 15 that lets them create a clone once per battle. Nothing to do with puppets or the earlier phantoms. What a freaking letdown. And what really aggravates me about this is that there are actually puppet units that you'll see fighting in groups with Mechanists. So either IS was planning to have Mechanists be able to spawn them or just decided to give players a middle finger right at the end. And on that note, why isn't there a summoner class for Nor? Sorcerers from there create Faceless and Stoneburn all throughout the story, so why can't the player do anything like that? It doesn't have to be exactly the same as Sacred Stones, make it a level 5 skill and set it to like once or twice a map maybe. Same thing they should have done with Mechanists. Oh well, I guess I have to wait even longer to get my summoner class back. Pairup is basically the Godwin's Law of Awakening. Eventually, all conversations boil down to complaining about how much it destroyed balance. I'm not going to argue against that, and IS isn't either, because the system got a total overhaul in Fates. Instead of the percentage attack and guard chances, adjacent units will just always perform team attacks. Paired up units lose this ability, but gain a guard every 5 attacks done by yourself or an enemy, in addition to some reduced pair-up bonuses. But what really makes these new mechanics miles better than Awakening is that enemies use it now too. Their AI is totally optimized to take advantage of team attacks whenever possible, with paired up teams typically acting as defensive chokes or boss support in comparison. This is by far the biggest substantive mechanical overhaul of the game, and my personal favorite because of the monumentous additions to strategy it provides. But there's one smaller thing Fates does that I appreciate a lot more, so we'll get to that in a sec. I'm guessing a few of you probably expected this to be number 1, and trust me, it was a really close call. Light magic is once again completely left out of Fire Emblem, except for the questionable addition of lightning in this game, which never even calls itself a light tome. And in addition, dark magic now is reduced to just a supremely nerfed Nosferatu, to the point where I don't even know why it needs to be class restricted anymore. Even the basic anima magic trinity kept alive in Awakening has vanished now. I get why it was removed, as it would have been really awkward to have a magic triangle within an all-encompassing weapon triangle, but the lack of light magic and the near absence of dark magic is inexcusable to me. For one, IS missed a clear opportunity to distinguish Hoshido and Nor. Say Nor has their dark mages with exclusive dark magic, and Hoshido has some class with exclusive light magic. Doesn't even need to be in a triangle. I just want proper light and dark magic back, damn it. I want them to be able to share the spotlight with anima magic again. Is that too much to ask? It is about bloody fucking time, Intelligent Systems. Bows have been Fire Emblem's black sheep for basically ever as far as I care. A gluttony of bad bow users, or bad bows, or both have kept this perpetually too locked weapon class delegated to the joke weapon, or last among firsts, with just 2 games standing out. Genealogy with Jamaica and its amazing killer bow, and Radiant Dawn with its statless Shinon and absolutely broken marksman class. Bad archers especially have been plaguing Fire Emblem's history as what I like to call the bad base stat early game archer person. Every Fire Emblem aside from Genealogy has had a Babasagap. Captain Gordon for Dark Dragon, Ryan in Mystery, Tanya and Ronan for Thracia 776, Wolt in Binding Blade, Will and Rebecca for Blazing Sword, Naomi in Sacred Stones, Rolf in Path of Radiance, Leonardo with Radiant Dawn's Fail Brigade, Virion in Awakening, even Fate still has one with Setsuna, so long as you're in Birthright. Haven't played Gaiden yet though, so if anyone wants to fill me on what the Babasagap is there, please do so. Anyway, all of these units have wildly ranging potential, but they all start with just plain bad stats compared to every other unit you'll have at the same level for no discernible reason. It's already hard enough to give locked 2 range units skills and experience, so why make it even harder by giving them such a bad start? But Faith has 2 early game archer persons that aren't Babasagaps, Niles from Nor and Takumi from Hoshido. Takumi, incidentally, might actually be the best archer in Fire Emblem history, but it's still a little too early to tell. But having good archers isn't all that Fates does, it also has way better bows. The vanilla slingers now have might comparable to, or in the case of Hoshida and Yumi, matching with axes. And thanks to the greatly reduced effectiveness of traditional 1-2 range offerings, bows finally have that solid 2 range niche, which Awakening tried to create but failed because Silica's Gale kinda just destroyed weapon balance. So yeah, this is what I felt was missing most and what I felt should have been the easiest thing in the world to add in. The triangle attack is one of Fire Emblem's most iconic executions. The right arrangement of Pegasi or some other related units resulting in a guaranteed critical hit. It's been around since the first game has appeared in every subsequent product until Awakening. Heck, in Genealogy, it's used against the player by a couple trios of bosses instead of being at your own disposal. I can maybe see why the attack was dropped in Awakening, as aside from Sully, Stull, and Frederick, there doesn't really seem to be a proper trio for execution, but in Fates, I don't buy its absence at all. For one, not only do you have the incredibly obvious ninja trio of Kaze, Saizo, and Kagero, you also have the even more obvious trios of Royals and their 2 retainers, 4 of which exist. Now, having that many triangle attacks at once would probably be pretty broken, but there's a simple solution. Just lock it out until all participants achieve an A support with each other. Path of Radiance made you work for the triangle attack, so why not Fates? And if that is enough, maybe just nerf it to where it only guarantees a critical strike if the attack actually hits. Oh well. And if anyone's going to say that there can't be a triangle attack because it's only done by groups of siblings, well then how does that explain Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, where Marcia, Tanis, Sigarin, and Elincia can all do it, despite none of them being related to each other? Whatever, I thought these were the best and worst aspects of Fate's general gameplay. If you have any thoughts towards the matter, just leave them in the comments below. This is ModelOmega, and thank you very much for watching.